Good evening. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order, and just note for the record that we do have a quorum, just barely. It's great to see some folks here tonight. And if there is any one that wants to approach the Board of Adjustments for anything that's not on our agenda tonight, now's an opportunity to do that. Seeing none, would request a motion on our minutes for Wednesday, March 27th.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the minutes from Wednesday, March 27th.
Danny's made a motion. Any discussion? Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. On the minutes for Wednesday, March 27th, 2024. We don't have any old business on the agenda. Just a reminder, the Board of Adjustments is a quasi-judicial body. If there is an appeal of any findings that is made tonight, needs to be filed with the Madison Circuit Clerk in 30 days. And our first, so we're going to go into the public hearing formal session, and first item on the list is an allowable land use classification, group homes. And are we going to be swearing in for this, or is this?
I wouldn't think so.
Okay.
I
Okay.
wouldn't think so.
All right. Great.
This is more just board related.
Okay.
We were approached by Redeeming Hope, which is their actual name is Redeeming Hope Therapeutic Foster Home, about locating a project out on Richmond Road. So that item is the second item on the agenda. In working through this project with them, what we have discovered is that there was a little contradiction in group homes in our regulations. So what I've put up on the screen is our just a copy of the definitions from our land management development ordinance for dwelling. So everything that we classify as a dwelling. So single family, duplex, townhome. And you see that on this list, group homes are on there. And they are defined as a dwelling unit housing persons unrelated by blood, adoption, or marriage, and operating as a single household. Group homes include sorority or fraternity houses, hospices or orphanages, and halfway houses. So what has occurred is that group homes got put into the definitions, but were not included in the allowable land uses. Well, as you all know, that's how we determine in what zones certain businesses can, or buildings or uses can operate. So I have given each of you this piece of paper. Yep. And in that is, I have also included the definition for group home from Kentucky Building Code. Because our office, again, in working through this project with them, we wanted to make sure that we are calling this thing what it actually is, right? So that's the first thing. Identify what the use is. Kentucky Building Code definition says that group homes are a facility for social rehabilitation, substance abuse, or mental health problems that contain a group housing arrangement and provide for custodial care but not medical care. So in this particular case, and I think as you'll hear, that is exactly what this is. So we are providing custodial care being assistance with everyday life, but the persons who are housed there are capable of self-preservation. They can get out in a fire. They are healthy and able to do those things. So you'll see in our allowable land uses, this chart down here, just an excerpt from the chart, that group homes was not in there. So I've added it in green, and what I would recommend is that the Board of Adjustments allow them as a conditionally permitted use in an agriculture zone. The way that we can do this through our regulations is that, the way that we read this chart are things are either permitted, they're conditionally permitted, or not permitted. But then in the case that there are unclassified uses, such as group homes, again, just left out of the table, the regulations state that the Board of Adjustments may determine which category an unclassified use shall be classified. It goes on to say, making their determination, the Board of Adjustment shall consider the characteristics of the site, the surrounding area, and proposed use. My determination and my thinking is that conditional use permits are the safest zoning practice, because they allow for public input and adjacent property owner notice. So at this point, what I would like to ask for is a vote from the commission to allow group homes, to classify group homes as a residential use which would be conditionally permitted in an agriculture zone. Now, you'll see that I have also added some C's across the line there, so in other zones. The reason I did that is that we are currently actually ready to take an update to our regulations to Planning Commission. And in this update, I have included what you see here as a change to our current regulations. So that's the only reason for the other changes, is that's what I'm proposing in our new regulations, because we want to make sure this doesn't happen in the future. We go ahead and capture this in our regulations.
Any questions? On the board? Any comments? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we classify group home as a residential use conditionally permitted in an agricultural zone.
Motion has been made. Any discussion? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's made, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries to classify and allow group homes as a residential use condition permitted in an agricultural zone. Thanks, Amanda. Moving on, next item on the agenda is Redeeming Hope Incorporated at 1045 Richmond Road North. And this is a conditional use request for a group home in an agricultural zone. And Amanda, if you want to just give an overview, we'll have our attorney swear you in.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. So the property that we are considering this evening is on the screen, outlined in yellow. So it is a 5-acre tract, I believe, that's off the cuff, 5-acre tract, adjacent to Church on the Rock and along Richmond Road. And it is currently in an agricultural zone. The request before us is this conditional use for a group home. And this facility, this house, I should call it, because again, it's a home, will house up to 12 girls, and it will be for ages up to 18. And so we do have representation from Redeeming Hope here this evening to make their request.
Well, excellent. Yeah, go ahead and come on up and state your name, and we'll have you sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Tracy Blevins. I'm an attorney here tonight representing Redeeming Hope, Inc., who also operates as Redeeming Hope Therapeutic Foster Home. The board of directors and other members supporting their organization are here in the audience to answer some questions you may have later. I would be remiss not to recognize them. Lisa Foster is the current chairman of the board. Linda Blackburn is here and one of the originating founders. Xenia Hensley is a social worker here in our community, and she is on our board. Shanna Sharber, Dr. Shanna Sharber is here, and she also is a board member. Amanda explained group homes a little bit earlier. This property located at 1045 Richmond Road is currently zoned agriculture. It was a piece of property that was donated to Redeeming Hope Inc. by the adjoining property owner, who is Church on the Rock. Their president and pastor is here in the audience tonight, Mark Sarver, to support their request for a conditional use permit. We believe that the project and its mission does classify it as a group home. It'll be a single dwelling that is used to house hopefully 10 to 12 minor females who are currently part of the foster care system in the state of Kentucky. At this point, I think it's important to point out that the adjoining property owners have not only been notified, but they are highly supportive of the project. Bruce Fraley owns the farm to the rear of this home. Church on the Rock owns to one side. Jared Keith Carpenter uses the property on the other side. He owns it and uses it as farmland. There's a subdivision across the street. Walker Branch subdivision is the property across the street. The neighbor who is directly in front of this property also supports the project according to the board of directors. They're part of the congregation at Church on the Rock. And so the neighbors are highly supportive and aware. Redeeming Hope Inc. has spent much of the past year educating the community on the purposes and mission of their project, how it affects every single member probably in our community, how the foster girls that they are going to house in this program are already parts of our community and living probably in single family homes throughout the community. So their desire is to ask you to issue a conditional use permit so that they can move forward with designing the home and building it. They'll be back in front of you, of course, to present a site development plan. I sent over a concept plan earlier today for Amanda so that we can get that in the record if you would like. The rendering that is up now is the proposed home, so it very much so looks like a residence. Will be used as a residence. They are going to have minimal signage and actually wish to draw minimal amount of attention to the property itself. And so it very much so looks like a residential use. Your definition of group home is for the purpose of a dwelling, and so that is what we intend to use it for. It is in the agricultural zone. They intend to build a stable in the back and do equine therapy for these teenagers, and so there will be some equine therapy going on along with the other care and therapy that these girls will get to support their mental health needs. They will also do a lot of gardening, probably put an orchard out, so they intend to be somewhat self-sustaining in their food supply as the girls learn to tend to animals and garden and raise some of their own food. And so obviously that's a residential purpose there too. Let's see, anything else I think you want to know before I open it up to questions? The project, the mission will require a license from the cabinet, and so once the project is completed and built, then they will apply for a license from the cabinet. So there will be some other state government oversight as to how the property is used and run within the confines of the house. There will be at least 2 adults living in the house with the foster girls at any given time. And then throughout the day, of course, each girl will have its own caseworker. She will have her own caseworker. There will be other therapists there that are not the state social workers, but private therapists that will be on site to come and spend time with the ladies. In addition to that, they will have the 2, we're calling them the house mothers, I think, but I look to my crowd over here because they're really studying this, formulating it, and putting it together. There's not anything like this that currently exists in Madison County, and there's very much so a need. It's not necessarily our Madison County residents who will be living there because of the needs of these women. Lots of them will come from other places to reside here, and they will primarily spend their time on this 5-acre tract because that's what most meets their needs, to give them the care that they need, as well as to do the mental health care that they need and vocational rehab, so that when they reach the age of 18 and transition into the rest of their adulthood, that they're prepared for that. And so we humbly request that you guys consider a motion to grant them a conditional use permit tonight.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
The deed actually says in writing here that the property, even temporarily, wouldn't be used for any livestock, anything like that, will horses? Is there a way around that?
Yes, yeah, the controller on that is Church on the Rock. They did donate this property and they're aware of the project.
Okay.
And so although we don't want farming and swine and that sort of thing, they're very familiar that the equine therapy will take place. I think it's important to note for the community and your board to realize also that when the property was gifted, the board was glad to give the assurances to Church on the Rock that if it is ever not used for the primary purpose of the current purpose of redeeming hope, that the property will be returned to the church. So any concern that has been expressed by the community that the property could be classified as a group home set up for multiple individuals to live in and then be converted to something else, the group was willing to promise the Church on the Rock that once they build it, fund it, get it established, that they will never use it for any other purpose besides a group home for these young foster girls. Otherwise, they'll return it to the church.
That's all I have.
Amanda, I have a question for you. What is in an ag zone, is there an acreage minimum?
5 acres.
5 acres. Okay.
And so, so there was recently a minor plat done, to subdivide this particular 5 acres, which is what, I have a portion of it pulled up. It actually goes back, there's some floodplain area that goes back to the Silver Creek?
Yes.
I guess it is.
Mhm.
And, but it does make a 5-acre tract.
Okay.
Yep.
You're looking at the concept plan, but there is a recorded minor subdivision plat that shows the full 5 acres that we can display if you need us to. But it was reviewed by city planning and zoning and approved by the city of Berea.
And I think you have some conceptual plans of what the dwelling is going to look like in your packets, but I'm happy to pull those up if you guys, if anybody wants. We have floor plans, we have renderings, so happy to show anything that you guys would like.
Everything's good with the square footage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
To the extent it's relevant to show the community support, these ladies and this group have raised every single dollar that has been expended. Majority of all the professional services across the board have been donated to the group. The building supplies, the building materials, the asphalt, the rocks, the trees, the shrubs. We've still got a little bit of a to-do list. Lisa Foster would not be happy with me if I did not admit she's still got a to-do list and is soliciting some things. But it's been an overwhelming amount of display of support by this community that they want this project to happen, and that they're not only willing to tell her they support it, they are actually putting their own finances and their time into supporting the project to see that it'll happen.
Right, well, it sounds like it's got nothing but support. Would entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we grant a conditional use permit for Redeeming Hope Group Home at 1045 Richmond Road in Berea, Kentucky, in an agriculture zone.
Motion has been made. Any discussion on the motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Take a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I'm realizing that we didn't get a chance for anybody to come up and speak about if they wanted to on this. Even after the vote, if there's anybody that wants to say anything more about it, we're open to hear, but sounds like it's a great project. I wish you all well, and I know it's there's probably still a mountain ahead, but this is a great start.
On behalf of Redeeming Hope, we thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Third item on our agenda is Berea College. I guess this is a new Edwards building, 201 Main Street North, and the request is for a dimensional variance for front yard setback in an institutional zone. And you want
You'll
to...
give me just a minute to get my
Well, we can give
Well,
you all
to get my
time to
map back in
exit as well.
Berea, first of all.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Have a great evening.
Okay, so the property located at 201 Main Street is, what you all were probably familiar with. It was the first building along, Main Street as you kind of went through the triangle. And, as you were well aware, that building, was recently demolished, but when it existed, it was right up to the property line, right at the sidewalk. In working with Berea College and their design team to design the new structure, one of the requirements from the city's regulations in an institutional zone, which is Berea College, for zoning purposes, is a 25-foot front setback. And so they are here this evening to request a variance from that front setback.
All right, we'll come up and state your name, and we'll have you sworn in. And
Do you swear to tell the truth? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. We should have had Judge Wilson. Mr. Wilson is unavoidably detained tonight. He's our legal representation. I am the project director for Berea College. I have been with the college since 2011, and if you will allow me to be the representative of Berea College's interest in this matter, in this request, I would appreciate that. The details of this variance request, I'm going to allow Jeffrey Lynn with Luckett and Farley to discuss that and make the formal request.
we'll have to swear you in as well. Yep.
I do. How are y'all doing this evening? My name is Jeffrey Lynn. I work with Luckett and Farley. We are contracted with Berea College to do a design on a brand new Edwards building. Berea College has experienced growth annually with enrollment, which is a great thing. The one issue that comes with that is facilities have to grow as well. Obviously, this is one of the cases here. The existing facility did sit right up against the sidewalk at Main Street. And now we're creating a much larger facility for offices for staff there at Berea College. There are some constraints to the site. We would love to be able to push it further away to give the 25-foot setback. However, there is a main utility corridor that sits just west of our project site that would have a significant financial impact to the college if we actually had to move towards that any closer than we are. Including there's also a historic steeple that is just located just to the west of that as well. So moving our project site any further to the west would impact both of those issues. What we did do is we sited it as far west as we could to get it as far back from the road as possible to improve what is existing. Well, I guess what previously was existing, as that building has been removed currently. But the site has always been remove at Edwards and build in a new Edwards. I believe it is just a little over 5 feet. I can't read that from here, but I believe it is just a little over 5 foot additional encroachment into the setback area that would be required for this building.
So this shows 11 feet.
Is it 11 feet?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
So that's what I was checking to make
Yeah.
sure. So this, so it would be an 11-foot variance is what
got it, because you,
We
So you're
require
14 feet
25,
from-
so they
okay.
can get 14.
Got it.
They will encroach by 11.
is that the front door, or is that like a side deck? Well, I guess it doesn't matter what door you go in if it's, okay.
The building is oriented that the front doors would be facing south, also facing north, and there's one facing east, but on the north side on the L there. There are no doors on this, side facing
Huh.
Main Street.
So it's going from 0 to 1 prior with the former building to whatever that would be, 14. right?
14,
Yeah.
yeah.
And if I remember right, there was like some large waterworks in the west of it. Used to be a water storage, like water
Fee-
treatment plant,
the
maybe
fee
even
glade,
way back
yeah,
when.
The fee glade, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is still there. We'll be using that for rainwater treatment.
And if I might add, the utilities that they are speaking of are essentially where the sidewalk is.
Yes, they're directly under the sidewalk. We can't butt up any closer to that because we do have our own utilities that'll be running in the area just to the east of that sidewalk as well. We have squeezed as much room as possible to get this project pushed as far away from the main street as possible.
I will add that all notices were sent as required. Not many of those because the college happens to own all.
I was gonna
these
say.
Land, but there was one, I think. And we did hear from them and there were no issues. I would also just bring to the board's attention, Luckett and Farley has actually submitted this page, which is a justification. It should be in your packet, I believe. No.
No.
Oh, okay. So I don't know if you wanna go through this, is this something that you have,
Yeah, I
or
can
you
go
wanna
ahead.
borrow mine? But this is the justification for the variance, and I will just bring to the board's attention that, the KRS statute and our regulations state that before any variance is granted, the board must make findings, that the requested variance arises from special circumstances which do not generally apply to the land in the general vicinity. That the special circumstances are not the result of actions taken by the applicant. The third one, the strict application of the provisions of the regulations would deprive the applicant of a reasonable use of land or would create an unnecessary hardship. Or lastly, other reasons that the reasons that the variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, and welfare, and will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, and will not cause a hazard or nuisance to the public. So they did submit, I apologize that we did not forward that on to you, yeah, we missed sending that on to you guys, I apologize. But I think it might be good for you to just go through your all's justification, for that.
Sure.
Okay.
If everyone's ready, we'll begin. Basically, the first variance justification is, will granting this variance adversely affect the health, safety, or welfare of the public? Will it alter the essential character of the general vicinity? Will cause a hazard or nuisance to the public, or allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations? We do not believe this will have any adverse effects. The existing facility was already at minimal setback. The adjacent facilities are already at minimal setback as well. We are maximizing that setback to the extent possible, with given the restraints of the site and the need to have the size building that is being proposed. What are the special circumstances which do not apply to land in the general vicinity? within the same zone that necessitates the variance. These are the factors that basically what caused us to need the variance. The developed area is a portion of a much larger parcel of land, whereas in other comparable development scenarios, developer could just push the building further away from the proposed setback. This is not feasible in this situation due to the reasons I've stated previously, which are there's the utility corridor just to the west, as well as the vital pedestrian path, which is used by many students, and the historic site elements just to the west as well. How would a strict application of the provisions of the regulation deprive the applicant of the reasonable use of the land, or would create an unnecessary hardship for the applicant? As I stated before, Berea College is seeing annual growth in their enrollment, which necessitates the need for larger facilities for the staff. The currently proposed building is designed to meet the current and future needs of the college. If we weren't able to construct the size building that we're building, we'd not meet the college's needs for growth that they're seeing currently. And then, are there circumstances which require the variance a result of actions of the applicant taken subsequent to the adoption of the zoning regulation from which relief is sought? This variance is for the placement of the building. Nothing's constructed yet. We're asking this preemptively.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And be on the safe side, you're just asking for 11 feet,
Yes, that's correct.
added to the 14 feet, which makes the 25.
Correct.
Okay, that's, make sure. Well, with that said, I'll make a motion to grant a dimensional variance request of 11 feet for 201 North Main Street under 404.2 subsection D, that it won't adversely affect public health, safety, welfare, and the essential character of the area or the general vicinity, and it won't cause harm or nuisance. I went up and looked at it today. I think it's going to be beautiful property.
Is there any discussion on the motion or a second?
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and a second on a dimensional request, a variance request for 11 feet at 201 Main Street. According to 404.2 subsection
Yeah,
D,
it's under the reasons that we have.
that it won't affect the health and welfare, and you didn't print this out, won't cause,
Will not alter, oh, you got it.
affect public health, safety, and welfare, will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, and will not cause a hazard or a nuisance to the public. Thank you. And we'll take a voice vote, and all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much, and look forward to the new building. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you all for coming.
I do have one last comment before adjournment. Next month's meeting would have fallen on, oh, I don't have a calendar up, May 22nd. But because of, some, scheduling conflicts, if we have an application, I will need to do a special called meeting on the 29th. So if we have any applications, we must have a so that meeting will be the 29th. And I do think there will be an application. So if you could make plans to be here.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
I second it.
All in favor?